Hey guys, welcome into the podcast today. My name is Ashton, and today we're going to start off doing something a little different. Um, so recently, I haven't done podcasts for a while, and I had some family problems go on, and life kind of just hit me full steam ahead. So I'm going to honor my grandfather, Papa. If you could give us 7 seconds of silence, that would be great. All right, guys, thank you so very much. So today we are getting into the Chiefs playoffs. Basically, going to break all that down and my potential Super Bowl matchup, basically, and then we're going to talk about what's kind of happening in the NBA, and talking about the Knicks, potentially playoff hopes, maybe not. We'll see there. All right. So the Chiefs today, they're gonna be facing the Browns here in the playoffs this upcoming weekend, and it's looking like it's gonna be kind of like a smackdown. We should be expecting. At least that's what Chase Claypool thinks. He shouldn't really be talking. He's a wide receiver for the Steelers. He got smacked himself. His team got smacked by the Browns, and it just after 28-0 in the first quarter. So he said in an interview on TikTok that the Browns were going to get clapped next week. Well, sir, you got clapped, and I bet if the Browns were to face you again, you'd get clapped again. So it better be just shut your mouth. So Chase Claypool was a part of my fantasy team, and he helped me a lot. So a little breakdown on that. My fantasy team, I thought I'd at least be in the top 3. Definitely not what it was. I was definitely like the second or third worst. I had like the third worst fantasy team, and this that I did with my family. Yeah, it didn't go great. The guy that ended up winning, Josh, he didn't even draft, and he ended up winning it all. So he wasn't a part of the draft at all. He just, I think, missed out on it. I think he had something going on, and he ended up winning it all. So I think none of us are actually going to do the draft next year, just to make things interesting. So back to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have basically had 2 weeks off. So they played the Chargers. They didn't play any of their starters, and then they had last week off because they got the number 1 seed, and that gives them the bye and home field advantage throughout the playoffs, up till the Super Bowl. And so basically, they're going to be playing the Browns, and I was thinking they're probably going to get smacked. Kind of one of the main headlines in this game is Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was a former Chiefs running back. If you don't know really the story, or if you don't remember, Kareem Hunt was one of our best running backs, and then he went to Cleveland for like a weekend and kicked a girl there, and that wasn't even the reason he got cut from the Chiefs. The only reason he got cut from the Chiefs was because he lied to the Chiefs about it all, and that's why he got cut, and there was no honesty. So they were like, okay, so we're gonna cut him, and there was like video footage, everything. So it all obviously got leaked, and the world saw Kareem Hunt kick a girl in Ohio, and that was over 2-3 years ago now. So that's way in the past. But we would obviously still like to have him, the player, at least not the guy, but the player. The player was doing really well for us here in Kansas City, and we ended up having to 2 years later draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which I don't know if he's going to play uh, in the game against the Browns. My guess is probably not. If the Chiefs really all the way up to the Super Bowl, if they make it to the Super Bowl, I say that there's a chance he even plays there. There's been no injury report really that he's out for the rest of the playoffs or any of that. I've not heard of that at all. And I've talked to a coworker at work. He's like, yeah, the Chiefs haven't released anything, any statement at least about that. Uh, so there's potential hope that he could return for the playoffs. So that's something to look forward to after his horrific injury with the Saints. Um, so that's what we're looking forward to. Baker Mayfield has been playing a lot better as the season went on. He had a rough start. It looked like um, he wasn't able to play well without Odell Beckham in the lineup. And I think if he gets Odell back, I think he's going to be better than ever, honestly. I know that there's not a connection between the two, but Odell's just that great of a talented of a receiver. He looked like he could be like the next Jerry Rice with Eli Manning, who is a stationary target. He never went anywhere. If you get Baker Mayfield out in space on the play action pass, if you move him out of the pocket, he does really well. Just go and watch film. That's what he does. And he's not meant to throw in the pocket at all. So with that being said, that's what the Chiefs are most likely going to try and do is keep him in the pocket, make him a pocket passer, and not have him roll out and create plays with it with potentially his legs. And uh, the Browns, I will say this, I'm thinking the Browns are going to have to throw it at least 40 times or more. And if so, I don't think they win this game. Not one. Like the Browns overall, they don't fear me, but especially if Baker Mayfield throws it 40 or more times, they're not going to win the football game. I don't think so. And I think he threw 40 in his last game against the Steelers, and but that was coming off a historic uh, choke job by the Steelers, giving up 28-0 in the first quarter. First play of the game, they snap it over Ben Roethlisberger's head, which is the quarterback of the Steelers, and into the end zone, and the Browns recover it in the end zone. So, I mean, the Browns were playing with the lead the entire game, and even if the Chiefs were to get down early, they're the comeback kings, and like the Browns don't scare me. Even if they could pull a Texans pretty much. They could be up 21-0, and the Chiefs would still come back on them. And that's how I feel about the whole situation, really, to be honest. And the Chiefs will. And my final prediction for the game, I think it'll be a high scoring game. For the Chiefs, that is. I think the Chiefs are going to put up 42, and I think the Browns are going to put up 28. Frank Clark, he hasn't really showed up in the regular season. I think he has a total of 4 or 5 sacks, and hasn't really that seems pretty low for a guy that makes as much money as he does. I listen to 610 The Drive every day from 2 to 6, and they talk about this a lot, about how he's getting paid all that money, and if he doesn't, one of them was talking about if he's not if he doesn't perform in the playoffs, this is a busted contract. And I kind of agree. I was like, yeah, he's 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 basic he's basically like a Kevin Durant on the defensive line. Like he can get what when he wants it. He can get a sack anytime he wants. He's just not doing it in the regular season, and he even admitted the regular season we're gonna just take a walkthrough on that, and when the playoffs come around, I'm gonna be myself and I'm gonna eat. So I think everybody in Kansas City is hoping and expecting that he performs, and if he doesn't, oh, we are going to give it to him, and it would be rightfully deserved because you hadn't performed at all this season in the regular season, and when we needed you the most in the playoffs, and if you didn't perform then what's your worth on the team right now? So that would be it. But at the moment, I don't really have an issue with it. Just he better perform in the playoffs, and I expect he does. I expect he will. So this, I think the Chiefs will really ramp it up against the the offensive line of the Browns, and the Browns they last week didn't even have their head coach there, and I heard the commentary of Al Michaels and Chris Collins were saying they had third string linemen in. If you cannot win against third string linemen of the Browns, oh my gosh, you are in major trouble, boy. Um, it would scratch my head. It would be like, why are we paying you all these hundreds of millions of dollars when you can't win against third stringers? They're third stringers for a reason. Um, so yeah, that that's the key matchup I'm kind of looking for. Who wins the battle at the line of scrimmage? Because I think the Chiefs are going to win regardless, but it will really be a blowout if the Chiefs win on both lines of scrimmages because the Browns secondary will not be able to keep up with the Chiefs. They have a former DB starting for the Browns that played for the Chiefs a few years back. Terrence Mitchell, does that ring a bell? He gave up a lot of touchdowns and catches in that secondary. He might be playing a lot better in Cleveland. I'm not sure, but I see the last name Mitchell, 39. That's what he wore for the Chiefs, and so just like I don't expect that Browns secondary, especially if Denzel Ward is not playing. Oh boy, the Chiefs are going to eat all day long. So we'll look at some other matchups here in the playoffs too. The Buccaneers and the Saints. That's an interesting matchup because the Buccaneers are playing more to the style of Tom Brady and not Bruce Arians' game plan. So earlier in the season, the Bucs had gotten smacked by the Saints, and they were trying to basically drop Tom Brady back and make him throw it. And that's not the strength of that football team. The strength of that football team is a balanced offensive attack, which is with the run, balance of the run and the pass. And they were just making Tom Brady drop back and throw it as deep as he possibly could. And with those receivers, I mean, 50% of the time, as long as you're facing a terrible defensive line, most likely you can have that game plan. But the Saints, you can't do that. They got smacked against the Bears. The Bears have a great defensive line, and now they kind of learned their lesson in the regular season and get the ball out of their hands quick. And Antonio Brown, if he wasn't with the Bucs from my last podcast, well, he is now. And he's been playing out of his mind in a Bucs uniform. And so that's kind of like they got so many good receivers. They got Chris Godwin. They got Mike Evans, Antonio Brown. They got Rob Gronkowski that can pass protect Brady and go and catch passes, and then they got Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. I mean, the list goes on and on of players on that offense that are just really, really good. And so you're looking at this team and you're like, and they didn't even win their division? Well, they got smacked by the Saints both times, and the Saints ended up overall just being a better team than them in the regular season. So you could see why the Saints won the division. Everybody's predicting the Saints might win it for a third time, and I'm like, no, I don't see that being the case. I think Tom Brady, this is where he makes his living. This is where he got his 6 rings. Is in the playoffs, and leading up to it, he won throughout his uh, his conference, and leading it up to the Super Bowl, and beating the other conference. So he's done this before. This isn't his first rodeo. He's 43 years old, and he's going to get those guys ready to play. And they smacked the Washington football team last week, and that Taylor Heineke, I think he's going to be good for the Redskins if they stick with him. Washington football team, my bad. But he's Tom Brady and the Bucks. I think they're going to beat. I think they're going to beat the Saints, and it's going to be a score of 49-42. I think they both put up 40 on those defenses, just because they're both high-powered offenses, and I don't think either defense can stop the opposing offense that they're facing. So I think they're both going to put up 40. And the Green Bay Packers, they're playing, I believe, well, Green Bay, I believe, is going to the Super Bowl regardless right now. But they are going to be facing the Rams, and the Rams just shut down Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. It's all coming back to me now. And they just completely shellacked Seattle's offense. They put them to sleep, and Cam Akers, watch for that guy to run. In last year's Packers team in the playoffs, the number one trouble was stopping the run. And I think they got better at that overall. But we'll see if Cam Akers goes for 120 yards or 130 yards, because he ran all over that Seahawks defense, and Seattle was supposed to be the one facing the Packers upcoming this week, and that's just not the case. It's the Rams had their backup quarterback playing, and he went down with an injury, and they had to put their starter in, Jared Goff, who had thumb surgery 12 or 13 days beforehand, before that playoff game, and that was kind of the whole reason why they didn't start him. And he came back in, and he didn't really play all that well. He didn't play with any offensive explosion. It was kind of like it was watching that Super Bowl matchup a couple years ago from the Patriots versus the Rams, and it felt like that defensive game, and it really was. But at the end of the day, it just ended up being the Rams winning the game, because they kept getting to Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson looked like he couldn't have an offensive line to protect him any day of the dang week. He got sacked 5 times. It was not a great day for him, and when you get sacked 5 times, I don't expect you to look all that great, but sometimes you do, and usually you do pretty well when you got something going on, and that defense is playing out of its mind, and the Rams right now, and you, the Rams will they'll probably get Aaron Donald went down with an injury, and I think he might be back next week. We'll see. It was most likely his ribs that the commentators were pointing out, so that will be the key thing, and so look out for that. I think the final score of this game will be. I think the Packers will put up 35. I think the Rams will put up 9. I really, they're not going to put up double digits on the Packers. I just don't see it. And so we're going to the Bills and the Ravens game in the AFC. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are going to win that game. Lamar Jackson finally won a playoff game, but he's not going to win against the Bills. I just don't see it. I see the AFC Championship game being the Bills and the Chiefs. And the Ravens, they were down 10-0 against the Titans, came back, won that game. And they were down 10-0 in the first quarter, so they had another 3 quarters to play. It wasn't like hurry up mode and like the last quarter of. It wasn't like it was the fourth quarter and they were down 10 points and they came back. They were down 10-0 with like I think like 5 minutes in the first quarter. It was like they pretty much had all game to come back, and they did, and there was drama between these two teams earlier on in the season. I think the Titans scuffed up the Ravens home the midfield the midfield emblem, if you guys know what I'm talking about. You know how the Chiefs have the arrowhead in the middle of the field. Well, they basically what the Titans did. The Ravens have that on their the logo. And the logo, they have the logo on the midfield, and the Titans players scuffed that up. And John Harbaugh was the only one to defend the logo per se, because apparently some NFL players with the logo, the midfield logo, that's like, it's like you scuffing up any part of my territory. Like, people get defensive about it, and it's only seeing John Harbaugh on John being the only one to defend that was kind of like, oh, none of the players did. Well, when at the end of the game-winning interception was by Marcus Peters. He also played for the Chiefs, and thank gosh he is out of the Chiefs organization and locker room, because he was a cancer there. Even though he was really good on the field, I'm glad he's gone. He caught the game-winning interception, and him and the Ravens defensive group went to the Titans midfield logo and scuffed up their midfield logo. So it was kind of a revenge game, and for the Ravens, because I believe the Ravens lost in that last game too. So for them to win in Nashville and get that first playoff win for Lamar was huge. But them going against the Bills are just gonna throw, just do whatever. They have Stephon Diggs, and they'll run it when they want to, but it's their offense is Josh Allen all the way, and you don't really need the run game as much per se, so it's going to be a lot of Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs kind of leading that pass attack against the Ravens, and the Ravens are going to have to throw the football and be effective with it. And I just I don't see any way in the universe unless Lamar Jackson has just like a Superman type performance, which I don't see. They're going to go home in the second round, which is, I think, an improvement from the last 2 years, where they didn't get past the first round. So it was just kind of, it's at the end of the day, they should be thankful that they won a playoff game. And I say the Bills put up 42. I say the Ravens put up 20. That's what I see. So those are all my key playoff divisional games as of right now, and we are going to talk about the Knicks. Man, the Knicks have been on a roll. They've started out the season 5-3. It was the last I saw. I think they kind of went downhill from that. That was the first time in like the last 2 or 3 seasons that they were 2 games above 500, and that's that's putrid and pathetic. But man, if you're a Knicks fan right now, I think you've got to be thrilled with what you're seeing from Julius Randle. He was putting up 22, 17 and 10. I believe that's what it was. I think he was putting up pretty big numbers, or it might be 10 and 7. It might have been that, but he was playing out of his mind. And then they got Austin Rivers, Doc Rivers' son. He's playing really well over there. They got Tom Thibodeau. He is the coach now in New York. He's pretty much playing all their young stars a lot. He's playing R.J. Barrett a lot, Julius Randle a lot. That's kind of what Tom Thibodeau does. He kind of plays all those young up and coming players a lot into the ground, pretty much. But he did that at least with Derrick Rose, and Derrick Rose, he's in. I don't even know if Derrick's in the league. Is he? I think he might be in Detroit. Last time I saw, he was in Detroit, so he still might be. But the New York Knicks, I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to say they're going to get the 8th seed. I don't see them getting any higher than that. And this year they're only playing 72 games. So it's not like they're playing 81, but still I see them getting the 8th seed. I say they sneak in and probably win a game. That might be it. And I don't see the Knicks making an Eastern Conference Finals run. I don't think anybody in their grandma sees that. But yeah, that's kind of all I see. Well, guys, thank you for joining into my podcast today. I'm on multiple platforms, so I'm on YouTube, Spotify, and probably a multitude of others. I got to figure that out. So thank you for listening in to my podcast today. All right, thank you guys. Peace.